I've always been kind of frustrated with underdesk power solutions. Common setups use one of these cheap open holders that you screw to the bottom of your desk and slide a power strip into. It kind of works, but it's pretty janky in my opinion. It flexes around when you plug stuff in, the ports get slightly blocked by the plastic lip on the front, and it offers nothing to help manage all the cables. And somehow there's just still never enough outlets. So I wanted to show you the solution I've been using on all of my desks that basically fixes all of these issues. I'm going to mount this 3U or 3 unit server rack underneath my desk, along with this rack mount surge protector that gives me a ton of outlets. Both are made by StarTech and were sent to me for free to use in this video. I've reviewed other StarTech networking gear in the past, and I really do recommend checking their stuff out. I'll put links in the description below for everything I use in this video. Stick around till the end to see how I handle mounting everything and organizing the cables. Alright, let's get into it. A little while ago, I set up the desk in my workshop studio with a similar server rack facing the back of the desk. I did it this way because it's in the center of the room and all my camera equipment is behind it. Here's a nice little behind the scenes shot of that. Today I'm going to fix up this desk that's pushed up against the wall and uses one of those junky power strip holders. A while back, I made some attempt to organize the cables with those white adhesive cable ties, but the whole thing is just a mess. I'll start off by separating all the wires and getting the power strip out of there. Now I can unscrew the plastic holder. My desk is from a really popular standing desk company. It's kind of surprising that they haven't really innovated in the cable management space. If there's a company that you think is doing a good job with this, let me know in the comments. I'm going to position and mark where I want the server rack. I'm planning to keep it a little bit away from the black support beam that's in front of it, but I'm knowingly going to block the top two positions on this rack. I could push this back farther to make that space available, but I want to maximize the usable depth of the rack for an 8-inch shelf that I'm going to attach in a bit. I'm using number 10 screws that are half an inch long to mount the rack. The screws that came with it are too long for the thickness of my desk, which makes sense because I think it's more common to mount one of these to a wall. I like to pre-drill my holes when I can, and I'm being super careful to avoid drilling too far and blasting through the top of my desk. It also definitely helps if you have a longer bit driver for the screws that are towards the front of the rack. This thing feels super solid. I'm going to use the M5 cage nuts and hardware that came with the rack. You can buy special tools for installing cage nuts, but I'm usually able to just push them in place, and sometimes I use a flathead screwdriver to help get them seated. Alright, now let's mount this awesome surge protector. I love how many outlets it has, and I like the spacing on the back, which is great for power bricks that take up extra space. I think the horizontally positioned outlets are better for this type of setup, where you're trying to minimize the amount of stuff hanging off the rack. If you have other hardware mounted, it also helps to keep the power bricks out of the way. Okay, now for my secret weapon for cable management. I have this 8-inch deep shelf that I've set up so that it has a lip on the front and the back, so things won't spill over the edge. The brackets on the ends can also be moved around so that the lip faces down if you prefer. Then for the wires, I simply bundle them up and rest them on the shelf. In many cases, I think it looks best if you route the wires from behind the rack and have the plug come out from the shelf and plug into the power strip. I sort of despise these adhesive wire ties. Once you stick them down, you really can't move them and they fall apart over time. I've recently started using a version of these that's magnetic, and you can either use a piece of Velcro or a zip tie to secure cables to it. I prefer using Velcro since it's much easier to adjust later. I bought this huge roll that I cut lengthwise to fit in the holes on the magnetic clips. Just a reminder that all this stuff will be in the description below if you want to check it out. I'll speed through the rest of the organization and pick out some music for you guys. Alright, this is looking great. I do think I want to clean up the power cable for the surge protector though. I'm going to bundle the extra length together and use some of those magnetic clips again. This cable's pretty heavy, but it's no problem for the magnets. Alright, that looks pretty good. I think this is a really great solution. It's sturdy, it has a ton of outlets, and gives you a place to stash all of those messy cables. If I took more time, I could probably organize them on the shelf a bit more, but what's the point? You'll never see that mess unless you go hunting for it underneath the desk. Whether you're sitting or standing, all the ugly wires are hidden away. If you had more stuff that you wanted to mount, I think you could get away with a larger 4U rack instead of the 3U, but for me, the 3U handles everything I need and keeps a lower profile. Alright, well I hope you found this useful, and I'll catch you in the next one.